Hey everyone, Sarah Picaro. Today's video is going to be about developing OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder after having been in a toxic relationship, a narcissistic relationship, or high conflict relationship. So all of those, whether it was an experience with your upbringing, your childhood, your parents, or with a partner, all of those have the tendency to develop and make changes within yourself even after they're over. So say it is with a family member or a parent and you've now gone no contact or have limited contact, or say it's with a partner or an ex and now you no longer have contact, but you're noticing changes within yourself and trying to wrap your mind around this understanding of why you feel the way you feel today. Perhaps you have noticed you get stuck in this negative loop of your thoughts. You're constantly ruminating and wondering, what did I do? Why did I do that? Or perhaps you're just trying to move on with your life and just have a normal life. I hear that all the time. I just want to be normal. And it seems like no matter what I do to try and just be normal, I can't. I'm always getting in my own way. And I wonder if I have developed OCD, because when we feel like we're stuck, or when we are struggling, or when we are suffering and we feel that there's this block or this limitation at this wall that we just can't get through, and we're frustrated with where we are, right? And maybe you've gone to a traditional doctor and told them your symptoms and what you're experiencing and had a prescription written for you and are just told, take this and you'll feel better. And maybe you did that for a time and it did or didn't work. Or maybe you don't want to do that for an extended length of time. You want to get through the wall, get past this block, but you feel stuck there. And now you're noticing things that you do and you don't understand why you do them because you didn't used to do them. And it seems like you're becoming obsessed with those things. So the question that I was recently asked that I'm using this video to just dive deeper into was, can you develop OCD after having been with a narcissist? So we're going to explore the answer to that question today. And mind you, I'm not a doctor. So, always check with your physician if the symptoms you're experiencing are extreme and are severe. I am a hypnotherapist and a rapid transformational therapist. So I work with your unconscious mind to help you get to the root of the issue and to eliminate it and all the symptom you're experiencing from your life. So the short answer, majority would say yes, especially if you have experiences. Narcissistic abuse can cause OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not the only factor or only cause, so please don't take that the wrong way. And it's also not a guaranteed direct result from narcissistic abuse. You may have experienced narcissistic abuse and not be feeling that you have OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder. While on the other hand, you may realize and be making the connections to those traumatic experiences from your past, so PTSD, or if it went on for an extended length or period of time, what is labeled or known as CPTSD, so complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And from all of those things, either one big, extremely traumatic event or a multitude or series of smaller and complex traumatic events, you developed coping skills. And you do these things habitually, you have a ritual to them, and it seems like you can't stop, even if you want to stop doing these things. And some of these things that you may be doing, these OCD-like behaviors, can be sensory related. Maybe it's like a picking. I have had clients who just pick and they understand that it's painful. They don't want to, and their nail beds are bleeding and cracked, or nail biting, and sometimes it's a sensory thing, starting to feel that, or touching your face and noticing that in the space and location that you touch your face, you're developing acne and you just can't seem to stop. It's like this thing that you always do. And after a while, after a time, some of these things become unconscious. And you don't know that you're doing them until someone highlights it or points it out or says, why do you do that all the time? Or perhaps people are embarrassed to do it. And you're doing it, right? Whether it's a touching or picking in front of people. And then when you catch yourself, you're like, oh, why do I do that? I hate that. So maybe that's the OCD type of thing. Maybe it's, a sensory thing with lights or with sounds. If you were in that toxic environment or narcissistic relationship, chances are there was a lot of tension, a lot of confrontation, a lot of arguing. So now maybe it's simply the sound or level of noise. You can not deal with it being above a certain level. You just completely lose it. If the TV is on or music is on up at or above a certain level, you just completely lose it. Or maybe the lights. I know with the last relationship, the narcissist I had, it was nighttime. I would go to bed at a normal time, and he would stay up late watching movies at a really high volume, and then I would have to go out and say, turn it down. And then it became this funny game to him, watching me come out of the bedroom, yell at him to turn it down, and then going, what, I can't hear you, and yelling to that degree. So sometimes it's sensory things like that, or come in and just flip all the lights on. And so now you've developed these fears or these phobias, or these obsessions around things, maybe at a certain time, maybe at night, maybe it's checking to make sure that the door is locked, and double and triple, quadruple checking to make sure the door is locked so that that event cannot continue to occur. And even when you're out of the relationship with that person, and they're no longer involved in your life, you still have that obsessive compulsiveness with checking and locking the doors, or making sure that all the lights are off, or even leaving the house and then going back to making sure all the doors are locked. That's what I'm talking about, things like that. Maybe it's discomfort with textures. I have had some clients, interestingly enough, in the past, that the narcissist, even in the vehicle, the cloth of their vehicle was a certain feel. And so they cannot stand the feel of that. They won't wear it in their clothes. And they just get obsessed with making sure that texture, that feeling is not the one that they associated with while in that relationship or having that experience. And some are, like I said, checking to make sure doors are locked, cleaning, obsessively cleaning. I know with the first narcissistic relationship that I had, an obsession with having a clean kitchen and not having any crumbs anywhere. And if there were any crumbs anywhere, or there was a smear or a smudge, I was the one that got yelled at. So even after getting out of that relationship, I noticed within myself developing these obsessive tendencies with everything having to be clean. Even if you put like a drink or a mug down and it had a ring on it, going, and it couldn't just be wiped up with water, had to go and get a specific type of cleaner. And it was interesting because that cleaner had a particular smell. And so in the beginning, no other cleaner could do, because it, even if it smelled different, meant that it wasn't clean. So obsessiveness around cleaning, obsessiveness that's connected to certain smells, textures. So a lot of these actually can be connected to particular eating habits as well. And then people who've been in narcissistic or toxic relationships develop these weird eating habits, textures with food, uh, relationship with body image around food. So develop anorexia, develop bulimia, and then the OCD-ness around those types of eating habits and patterns and behaviors, even after they're out of the narcissistic relationship. Because while in that, that was actually a connection to a part of what kept them safe and what had them feel protected. If I'm a certain weight, I'll feel protected. This person will love me. I know in the first narcissistic relationship I was in my mind, I had this belief that if I stayed between 120 and 125 pounds, that this person wouldn't leave me, that they would love me, that they would stop looking at other women. And that was almost impossible for me without keeping my daily calorie intake of like 500 or below. I'm 5'7", so it's not natural for my frame to have that amount of weight on it. But I became obsessed with counting calories, obsessed with eliminating sugar. And in the American diet, that's almost impossible. Almost everything has sugar in it. But I became obsessed with label checking, with cooking, tried all kinds of cleanses and diets. I was obsessed with how can I keep my body within this weight? And it was the one thing. Any little piece of food I put in my mouth, even a carrot or even a banana or even an apple, I thought, oh my gosh, how much sugar does this have? And I developed OCD tendencies around food. So this can come from so many different angles. This development of OCD after having experienced traumatic relationships or narcissistic relationships. And some of these, you may not even be aware of them, and you're not in that marriage or you're not in that relationship anymore, but you're still obsessed around maybe sugar in foods or calories or proteins or fats, whatever it is. And I used to believe that fat made you fat. So I would avoid really healthy foods like avocado or coconut oil or things of that nature. So we're always doing things to try and protect ourselves and try and keep ourselves safe. And in your mind, you've got your conscious aspect of your mind and your experience, and then the unconscious. That's really where everything is filed and stored. And these traumatic events are almost like Google, they're just filed away in there. Those are the things running your conscious behaviors now. And they're there to try and protect you and try and keep you safe, even though logically and physically, you're safe, maybe because you've locked yourself in the house, have social anxiety, fear, and panic around going out, meeting new people, even going to the grocery store to buy the foods that you need. You obsess about, where am I going to park? What's going to be the fastest way in and out? What am I going to do if this person looks at me? Or what am I going to do if I need to go get let's just say bread, and they're out of that kind of bread that I like and they don't have it, they're out of stock, then what am I going to do? And then you can send yourself into a panic or an anxiety attack around that because you get so obsessed with these particular things. So like I said, the short answer is yes, you can develop OCD because of narcissistic abuse. And victims are people who have experienced that oftentimes ruminate in their own minds. Their thoughts just ruminate and circle around and around and around. And very rarely are they positive thoughts, ones that get them up, get them out of the house, say Hakuna Matata, no worries. Very often are those ruminating thoughts detrimental, self-defeating, and negative, and keep you stuck in the past of what happened in the past and what you could have done to make it different, what you could have done to change it or to fix it or to stop it. You ruminate over what went wrong, what could have been, how could this have been better? And then that you develop even obsessive compulsive disorder over your thoughts, those ruminating negative thoughts. Either way, whether it gets diagnosed or not, you may notice that you have some of these behaviors, some of these thoughts, some of these patterns, some of these experiences. And it definitely leads to an unhealthy, sometimes a fascination and an obsession with that person or with yourself, a fear of the future, worry about the future, depression because you're stuck in the events from the past. And you get so used to or so accustomed to these types of thoughts, and you fascinate and you wonder, you daydream about what it would be like to let it go. And you wish that you just could. I wish I could just let this go, because I know if I'm not holding on to this stuff the way that I am, I know if I don't do that, I know if I don't pick my nails, or I know if I don't, obsess around sugar in fruits or my weight or the calories, that I would be so much happier, but I just can't seem to. And now I worry about going to a party because I'm starving and there's going to be tons of food there, and I can hear and feel my stomach growling, and I know I need to eat, but it's got that many calories. Like, see, the cycle just goes on and on. Narcissistic abuse, it leaves you and your mind in this hysterical state, in a very compulsive state of living and state of mind. And unless you understand what it can do to one's psyche, one's spirit, one's mental and emotional state, then you may find that you're still stuck in that. But if you're at the space where you're out of that relationship now, and all of those things came with you when you physically got out, you're physically safe now, but you're not safe from your own thoughts and your own mind. You're still ruminating and obsessing over those. Then that's where there's more work to be done, more inner work to be done. You can't change or fix that by looking for anything that will help solve it that's external. It's just not going to happen. And what I mean when I say that is getting into another relationship. And maybe you get into a nice relationship with someone who is not a narcissist, but you still have these OCD-like thoughts and patterns and actions and behaviors. And you think if I continue this way, I'm going to ruin it. But you thought, well, if I just get into a better relationship, a healthier relationship, then I'll stop doing these things or they won't bother me as much. But maybe now you notice that they're bothering you even more because there's no reason why you should be doing those things any longer. Or maybe you have become obsessed with avoiding relationships or avoiding situations or avoiding other people altogether, and you're just a total loner and you've labeled yourself as a loser and a loner now. Or maybe you're obsessed with being online and finding a new partner so that you don't feel like the outside world is looking at you going, what's wrong with you, why are you single, or whatever it is. There's so many different ways, avenues, and areas that are impacted and developed when you're in a narcissistic relationship that can lead to OCD or obsessive compulsive behaviors. Maybe you don't have the full-blown disorder, but you notice a lot of the patterns and behaviors. And these show themselves through rituals or habits. Maybe it's every day at 5:30. I leave work at 5, I get home at 5:28, and by 5:30, I have a drink in my hand. And I don't want to drink anymore because I know my mom was an alcoholic or my dad was an alcoholic, and I don't even like drinking, but I have this obsession with getting off work, coming home, pouring a drink. And then that prevents me from being able to go to the gym or go, to the grocery store. But you hate that, or perhaps it's a connection to cigarettes. I've had many, many people come see me to stop smoking and made the connection to it's this obsessive thing. I hate that I smoke. I don't like smoking. It's expensive. My teeth are starting to get yellow. I feel this nasty cough. I hate it, but I've become obsessed with smoking and I don't understand why. All of these, like I said, are coping mechanisms, escape mechanisms. You do it to escape the thoughts, the negative detrimental thoughts, but that actually leads to more. You do these things to try and not think about the past abuse or experiences, which actually leads you to being more emotionally numb and drained. So yeah, in a way, it's causing even more damage. And narcissistic abuse or a toxic environment or upbringing already in and of itself is damaging enough. And now you're out of that environment, but you're damaging your own life by these OCDs, rituals, or behaviors. So remember, you can't go back into the past and you can't fix or change or make anything that already happened different, but you can start with where you are, make the connections to the past so that moving forward, those patterns and those habits are broken. Those obsessive compulsive thoughts, disorders, or behaviors are no longer interesting, necessary, or relevant to you and where you're at in your life. So hope this video about OCD and developing it after having been with a narcissist helps you, supports you, shines some light on what you're experiencing, and has you know that this is not the way that you have to live. You were not put here to live that way. Yes, you went through those things, but you've already survived through them. So what would it be like to take the learnings and take the lessons from those past experiences, even though they were bad, and disconnect from the bad or the negative or the hurtful things that you're doing now in your own life? So that's what hypnosis and that's what rapid transformational therapy, rapid change therapy, using the power of your own mind allows you to be able to do. So if you are interested in that and interested in perhaps working together one-on-one to do that, to see if we're a good fit to work together, then I invite you to click on the link in the description. You'll find my calendar, my availability, and we'll hop on a Zoom call, see if we're a good fit to work together. And if so, move forward. You can also check out the incredible, fascinating results that everyone else that I've worked with has gotten by working together. So again, thank you for staying to the end of this video. I appreciate you. I see you. I've been there too. So like I said, reach out if you're looking for more support, help, and a really fast and fun way to change.